In the world of modern medicine, we often celebrate the skilled hands of the surgeon, the precision of robotic arms, and the life-saving power of new procedures. Yet, behind every successful surgery lies a critical, often unseen process: the reprocessing of surgical instruments. This is not simply about cleaning. It is a fundamental pillar of patient safety. Every scalpel, every forceps, every scope that touches a patient must be perfectly sterile. Anything less introduces a grave and unacceptable risk. The failure to adhere to the strictest standards can turn a routine operation into a life-threatening ordeal, introducing dangerous pathogens directly into a patient's body at its most vulnerable moment. The stakes could not be higher. When a patient is on the operating table, their trust is placed not just in the surgical team, but in the entire system that supports them. This includes the sterile processing department, the professionals tasked with a duty that is truly life-saving. A single contaminated instrument can transmit devastating infections like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV, or resilient bacteria such as MRSA. These are not abstract risks. They are real-world consequences that lead to prolonged illness, additional surgeries, permanent disability, and even death. The fight against surgical site infections begins long before the first incision is made. It begins with the meticulous care of every single tool. Think of surgical instrument reprocessing as the first line of defense in a war against invisible enemies. These pathogens are opportunistic, and a surgical wound provides the perfect gateway for them to invade the body. The complex designs of modern surgical instruments, with their tiny crevices, long channels, and intricate joints, can easily harbor microscopic bioburden, bits of tissue, blood, and other organic matter. If this material is not completely removed, it can shield microorganisms from disinfectants and sterilants, rendering the entire process ineffective. This is why the responsibility is so immense. It is a detailed scientific process that leaves absolutely no room for error or shortcuts. The promise we make to every patient is first, do no harm. This ancient oath extends directly to the teams who handle our surgical tools. Their work is a direct fulfillment of that promise. When reprocessing is done correctly, it is a silent, flawless guardian that protects patients from harm they will never even know was a threat. But when it fails, the consequences are loud, painful, and often tragic. It's a heavy responsibility, but one that is absolutely essential to the integrity of our healthcare system. Upholding these standards is not just a matter of following rules. It is a profound ethical commitment to the well-being of every person we serve. The journey an instrument takes from a used, contaminated state to being ready for the next patient follows a precise and non-negotiable path. It all starts with cleaning, or decontamination. This is arguably the most important step in the entire sequence. Immediately after use, instruments must be wiped, rinsed, or soaked to prevent blood and tissue from drying on their surfaces. Dried bioburden is like a concrete shield for germs. Technicians then meticulously scrub the instruments, often using specialized brushes to reach into every groove and hinge. Automated ultrasonic cleaners and washer disinfectors are also used, but they are aids, not replacements, for thorough manual cleaning. If visible soil remains, the instrument cannot be made sterile, period. Once an instrument is confirmed to be physically clean, it moves to the next stage, disinfection or sterilization. Disinfection eliminates many or all pathogenic microorganisms except for bacterial spores. This is often achieved using high-level chemical disinfectants and is a suitable process for semi-critical items like endoscopes that touch mucous membranes. However, for instruments that will enter sterile body tissue, the vast majority of surgical tools, nothing short of full sterilization is acceptable. This is the ultimate step, a process designed to destroy all forms of microbial life, including the toughest, most resistant bacterial spores. It is the only way to ensure an instrument is completely free of any potential source of infection. Sterilization is achieved through several proven methods, each chosen based on the instrument's material and design. The most common and reliable method is steam sterilization, using an autoclave that applies intense heat, steam, and pressure. For delicate instruments that cannot withstand high temperatures, other methods like ethylene oxide gas, hydrogen peroxide gas plasma, or vaporized hydrogen peroxide are used. Each method has its own specific parameters for time, temperature, and concentration that must be followed exactly. Any deviation from these validated cycles can compromise the sterility of the load, placing the next patient in jeopardy. It is a science that demands precision and unwavering attention to detail from start to finish. Finally, after sterilization, the instruments must be handled and stored correctly to maintain their sterility until the moment they are needed in the operating room. They are packaged in special wraps or containers that allow the sterilant to penetrate but prevent microbes from getting in afterward. These packages are carefully inspected for any tears or moisture, as either could mean the barrier has been broken. Proper storage in a clean, dry, and controlled environment is the final link in this crucial chain. Skipping or rushing any of these steps, cleaning, disinfection, sterilization, and storage, is like leaving a door wide open for infection to walk right into the operating room. Despite clear guidelines, failures in surgical instrument reprocessing happen more often than we'd like to admit. One of the most common weak points is human error, often driven by pressure to work quickly. When surgical schedules are packed, technicians may feel rushed to turn over instrument sets, leading them to skip crucial seconds of manual scrubbing or overload washers and sterilizers. This pressure can result in instruments that still have hidden bioburden, which, as we know, prevents effective sterilization. It's a dangerous shortcut. Inadequate training is another major pitfall. If staff don't understand the why behind each step, they may not appreciate the grave consequences of a seemingly minor deviation from protocol. Another critical point of failure is improper maintenance of equipment. Autoclaves, washers, and other reprocessing machines are complex pieces of equipment that require regular calibration, cleaning, and professional servicing. If a sterilizer is not reaching the correct temperature or pressure, it will not achieve sterility, plain and simple. Yet, maintenance logs can be overlooked, and warning signs can be ignored in a busy department. Similarly, the quality of the water used in cleaning and rinsing is vital. Water with high mineral content can leave deposits on instruments that interfere with sterilization and can even damage the tools over time. These systemic issues create hidden risks that can affect hundreds of patients. Real-world cases starkly illustrate the devastating impact of these failures. In one well-documented incident, a hospital had to notify over 1,000 patients that they may have been exposed to HIV and hepatitis because of lapses in the cleaning of endoscopic equipment. The investigation revealed that staff were not following the multi-step cleaning protocols between procedures. The emotional distress and fear inflicted on those patients were immense, not to mention the significant legal and financial fallout for the hospital. In another case, a series of surgical site infections were traced back to retained debris inside complex orthopedic instruments. The cleaning process was simply not sufficient for the intricate design of the tools, a failure that led to patient harm and costly lawsuits. These stories are not just cautionary tales, they are evidence of a system breakdown. The consequences extend far beyond the patient. The healthcare professionals involved face intense scrutiny, potential loss of license, and the heavy emotional burden of knowing they contributed to a patient's suffering. The hospital, in turn, suffers from a loss of public trust, crippling legal settlements, and increased oversight from regulatory bodies. These events underscore a critical truth. There is no such thing as a minor error in sterile processing. Every checklist, every temperature reading, and every visual inspection is a critical action that stands between a patient and a potentially life-altering infection. To prevent these tragic outcomes, we must build an unshakable culture of safety and accountability within our sterile processing departments. This starts with empowering every single team member. Technicians should feel not only permitted, but obligated to speak up if they see a problem. If an instrument is still dirty after coming out of a washer, or if a surgeon is demanding a fast turnover that compromises cleaning time, technicians need the full support of leadership to halt the process and do it right. This stop-the-line mentality, borrowed from high-reliability industries like aviation and nuclear power, is essential. It transforms the job from a task-based role into a professional patient advocacy role. Leadership plays a pivotal role in fostering this environment. Department managers and hospital administrators must provide the necessary resources, state-of-the-art equipment, sufficient staffing to handle the workload without rushing, and, most importantly, ongoing education. Training should not be a one-time event, but a continuous process that includes regular competency assessments, updates on new instrument technologies, and refreshers on the principles of microbiology and infection control. When leadership invests in their team, It sends a powerful message that this work is valued and that patient safety is the absolute top priority, above speed or cost-cutting. This commitment must be visible and consistent. Building accountability also involves robust quality assurance measures. This means implementing rigorous tracking systems for surgical instruments, allowing a hospital to trace any tool back to the specific patient, the sterilizer load, and the technician who processed it. Regular audits of procedures, unannounced inspections, and monitoring of sterilization process indicators are crucial. When errors are found, the focus should be on understanding the system failure that allowed the error to happen, rather than on blaming an individual. By analyzing near misses and errors, we can identify weak points in the process and implement stronger safeguards to prevent them from happening again. Ultimately, protecting patients is a shared responsibility that extends beyond the sterile processing department. Surgeons must be educated on their role, such as properly pre-cleaning instruments in the operating room and understanding the time required for safe reprocessing. Infection control specialists, department leaders, and frontline technicians must work together as a cohesive team. Our ethical, professional, and legal duty is clear. We must ensure that every instrument used on a patient is unequivocally safe. Neglect is not an option. By championing a culture of meticulous care and unwavering accountability, we uphold our most sacred promise to our patients and ensure that the place they come for healing does not become a source of harm.